Come here. You bring a knife? 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 No. Wait, let them shoot. Come on. Call the cops. Call the cops. Cops. I have the police car. They're coming. I have the police car coming. You have the car. Come here.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's America, believe it or not. And of course, they are always bringing a knife to a fight. And I got to give this guy credit for remaining as calm as he did. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. Yeah. Friday night. Ilhan Omar got caught red-handed hanging out with, honestly, kind of a bad dude. I'm going to go over it, and I don't think the American public quite knows half of what a pile of garbage this guy is. And not just her, by the way, also like Minnesota Governor Mike Walz also ended up getting busted with him. Supreme Court is actually fixing to hear whether or not birthright citizenship is going to apply. That's right. They're looking into the 14th Amendment because Trump signed an executive order on day one. Remember this is a big one statement that he ended up coming out with for the order that he ended up doing. The executive order, excuse me. And honestly, politicians are just getting a little bit out of control to the point where they're just flat out lying to the public now. And when I say they're like lying to the public, they're lying to the public. I mean, just watch.
Hi, it's Adelita Grijalva. We just came up on a community that was protecting their people. We had, I would say, maybe 40 ICE agents, most of them masked, in several vehicles that the community had stopped right here, right in the middle of the street, because they were afraid that they were taking people without due process, without any kind of notice. And so I was here. This is like the restaurant I come to literally once a week, and was sprayed in the face by a very aggressive agent, pushed around by others.
Whoa. She says that she got sprayed in the face by a really aggressive ICE agent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's a federal rep from Arizona. I want you to take a look at her face. Take a good, clean look at that one. Now, for those of you who are like me and have been hit with pepper spray before, directly into the face, does that look like the face of a woman that has been sprayed? My answer is no. Not even remotely close. The physical evidence right now says absolutely freaking not. Nobody sprayed you in the face with pepper spray. And a video ended up coming out about this. Now, notice how she talks about how respectful and everything she was being. Because wait, we've got the actual video of what this woman actually did.
I literally was not being aggressive. I was asking for clarification, which is my right as a member of Congress. So once introduced myself, once I did, I assumed that it would be a little calmer, but there was literally only one person that was trying to speak to me in any kind of civil tone, and everyone else was being rude and disrespectful. And I just can only imagine if they're going to treat me like that, how they're treating everybody else. So we saw it. We saw people directly sprayed, members of our press, everybody that was with me, my staff member, myself, 2 staff members we have like remnants of whatever they sprayed on us.
Staff members and herself. So now it's not just her, now it's staff members. And they were being respectful, and she identified herself allegedly and all that other hoopla. But let's see.
Excuse me, it's bothering me. And I think that this is one of the problems, the biggest problem that we have in this community is that we have Trump that has no regard for any due process, the rule of law, the Constitution. They're literally disappearing people from the streets. They arrested 2 people. We have no idea where they're going. And I want to thank Tucson Police Department for coming and taking care of the space, making sure that everyone was safe once ICE left. And you can see that traffic is back to normal because of them. And so they were not the aggressors here. They arrived on the scene after ICE was already here and after there was a block in the street. So I just want to
thank God for that woman. Well, we're going to take a look at her video here in just a sec. Aspen121 says our new state flag is Somalian now in Minnesota. Yeah, I saw that. Tim Walz put out a great video of him like getting up and going and changing out the flag behind him, because God forbid you like keep tradition and everything. No, you got to make a stance and switch your state flag up to like the freaking Somali flag. Jay Seal says, negative, Matt. Also, what's with them referring to due process and not realizing that it only matters for citizens, realizing that it only matters for citizens? You copied and pasted some stuff. I'm assuming that's what ended up happening. There is due process for them, actually, and that due process is laid out very clearly. They get arrested, they go before an immigration judge who decides to deport them or if they get to stay. That's the due process. And you're about to see an example of how the due process has been working in the past and exactly why what is happening now, needs to frickin' continue to happen. Abby says, why are both states I've lived in full of liars? I have no idea. But if you actually want to see what happened, here's a look at it. This is actually what happened. I hope you're ready for it.
Watch out.
That's the cop spraying right there. All the way over here in the back with a guy standing in front of her saying, watch out. Do we need to watch that again?
Watch out. Hey, put it down.
It bothered her so much that they felt the need to turn around and scream at the frickin' ICE agent to put it down. Oh man, look at that rude ICE agent. She just asking her hey, can you come over here? He's so out of control. The horror. Oh, good. Her staffer is trying to grab a viral clip.
You need to get out. You need to get out.
Man, she seems really affected by that pepper spray, right? I mean, I know when I got hit by pepper spray numerous times, I surely wasn't able to just stand around and talk and yell and look at everything that was going on. She definitely got sprayed directly in the face.
Get out of the way. Stop. You guys need to clear now.
Oh, the drama. Man, what a rough life she's lived. I tell you what. Yep, she definitely got caught lying through her dang teeth, but nobody's going to call her on it and nobody's going to correct her. But you know who actually came out with something today, and I find it really interesting, and this gets into Ilhan Omar. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said criminal illegal alien Abdul Dahir Ibrahim was linked to Minnesota's top sanctuary politicians. In these pictures, Ibrahim can be seen with Governor Walz, Ilhan Omar, and Omar Feta. Ibrahim was convicted in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud prior to his entry into the United States. On April 3rd, 2004, an immigration judge ordered Ibrahim removed, citing the significant amount of fraud associated with him. Now, that is quasi-accurate, and you guys are about to see why in just a minute. And I promise you, everything that I'm about to tell you about this man is legitimate, and I'm going to show you my source for it, which your head's going to snap. It actually comes from court records of this man. No. This guy entered the United States before he illegally entered Canada. It's a fact. There he is again, standing right there next to Miss Omar. So the question is, why is this gigantic pile of garbage? And yeah, you're about to see why he's a pile of garbage standing next to Ilhan Omar. And there is a very common link between the two of them. He tried to claim that his sister was his wife. Believe it or not, that man on your screen standing next to Ilhan Omar, who allegedly claimed her husband or her brother was her husband. It's almost like he got or she got the scheme from him or vice versa. To be quite frank, I don't know which one it is. And you're about to see it here in just a sec. And then there's Mr. Feta hanging out right alongside of him. Did I have one more? Oh, yeah, there's his arrest photo of ICE actually getting a hold of him, DHS going over there and grabbing him. Now, here's where, for me, this issue actually starts. And by the way, Fox News put out a little clip. I'll play it for you.
All right, this news just breaking moments ago. Fox News has obtained photos of one of the Somali illegal immigrants wrapped up in the Minnesota fraud scandal, posing with several high-profile Minnesota Democrats, including Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Governor Tim Walz. The man pictured is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the country in 2000 and has had an order for removal since 2004. He also has a prior conviction in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud. ICE tells Fox News Ibrahim was granted temporary protected status for 10 years, but should have never been eligible. We are going to have more on this in our next hour. All right,
ladies and gentlemen, it's so much better. The story is so much more ridiculous than they throw out there. Ryan, what's up, bud? He says, Adelita has hit that restaurant more than once. Yeah, dude, I believe that. Abby says, Matt, you mentioned you changed your number in the last day or two. Remember, we need a new Discord link. Ah, crap. Yep, I got to get on that. Old Man Weiss says, are government officials blatantly lying to the public, allowing mass illegal immigration and calling for a direct disobey of the president's orders are not ground for treason? Oh, Old Man Weiss, you are going to be really pissed off here in just a minute. Yeah, if you want to call grounds for treason over that, blatantly lying to the public, allowing mass illegal immigration and calling for a direct disobey of the president's orders, wait till you see what I have coming out of Chicago. And wait till you see what I have coming out of Minnesota. That is going to piss you off. Is it a call for treason? In my opinion, yeah. This is why I've been saying forever, ladies and gentlemen, that we have an insurrection here in the United States. And people, for whatever reason, just don't believe me. I don't understand why. I don't get it. But in my opinion, we do. Now, here is the news article ended up coming out about ICE arresting the guy and everything else, right? But what I ended up finding on this pile of garbage is insane. This comes from Justeel Law. All right. And it was submitted on November 18th, 2005, and it was filed January 3rd, 2006. So what I'm about to read for you is that gentleman they just talked about. I'm going to give you guys an excerpt because you guys can see this is a lot of crap and you don't want me to read all this. So I condensed it down for you. All right. Like, we're not going to read through that entirety, but this is what I have summarized for you. And before I summarize it, I got to get his picture with Miss Omar back up on the screen. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta hold on. Yeah. Oh, Tim, you guys want Tim or Omar? I don't know. Maybe we'll do half and half. Thoughts on drones over Dublin Airport in an alleged attempt to down Zelensky's plane and French military shooting down drones over nuke submarine base. It might be real, to be perfectly honest with you. Reason I say that is F-16s were scrambled out of, I want to say it was Reagan. Like, out of Reagan, there was a call today that they were scrambling F-16s. And I don't know if it had like something to do with that in relation, but I do know for a fact that Russia stepped up their BS. If that is actually the case and something that's actually ended up going down, they're trying to assassinate a president. And Russia has people all over the freaking world that would be trying to do that stuff. So I personally wouldn't put it past them one tiny bit. Not one tiny bit. Nope. Yeah. All right. So let me go ahead and read for you what just a genius this guy is that's hanging out with our reps right here. Mrs. What do you call her name? Omar. So the man pictured with her, his name is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the United States in 1989 at the age of 14. He then went to Canada, lied about his name, and applied for asylum in 1993. He was denied. But because we're stupid here in the United States, Canada deported him back to the USA. They didn't send him to Somalia. They sent him to the USA. Yep. And then we ended up releasing him back into the wild. He then ran back to Canada, lied about his name, and applied for asylum again. When he lied to Canada, they threw him in jail for 3 months and then deported him back to the USA again. And of course, we ended up taking him back. And if you're keeping count, that makes 2 deportations of this man, a Somalian, from Canada to the United States in the same year after they jailed him for lying about it. Now, what do you guys think happened next? We ended up releasing him back into the wild once he was deported again. In 96, he attempted to re-enter Canada under another false name, but Canada denied him entry. So we kept him. Yep, we kept him. We kept an illegal alien, didn't have any documentation, didn't have crap. Canada has already deported him 2 times, thrown him in jail 1 time. He's lied numerous times to Canada, and that is something that's even more egregious, right? And so we just kept him in the United States. CBP didn't do a damn thing about it all the way back in 96. So we released him back into the wild. Where did he go from there? Well, he went to California and he applied for asylum in 1998. And on top of that, when he applied for asylum, he lied and he claimed that he entered the USA in 1997. This time, he claimed that he had a wife and 5 kids. He claimed members of the United Somali Congress killed his father and brother and raped his sister at his home in Mogadishu in 1991 while Ibrahim hid in another room. Now, remember, Mr. Ibrahim came into the United States in 1989. In 2001, after more than 10 years of this crap, the United States got its act back together, and INS ended up issuing an order of removal for him. They denied his request. However, we wouldn't be the retarded country that we are unless we let him try again, which we did. He appealed his case, and this time he claimed that he had made a simple mistake on his application, and he continued living in the USA until 2003, until his very next hearing. And again, Canada threw him in jail for lying, deported him twice, USA took him, and we cut him loose on the streets twice. During the hearing, he ended up stating that his wife and kids were actually his sister and his children. Weird. And now he's being pictured with Ilhan Omar. Either way, they ended up denying him asylum, and he appealed it again. Several years later, after filing garbage claims, he was finally denied in 1995. Or I'm sorry, in 2005. You can't make this bullcrap up. And he's been here ever since. For whatever reason, this man is pictured with Ilhan Omar and with Tim Walz. I kind of want to know about it. Because he went from the United States to Canada, back to the United States, back to Canada, back to the United States, to California, ended up being denied. Somehow we didn't even detain the guy, retain him, anything, let him run wild for years as he's appealing all of his BS. And then he still ends up getting denied. And now he's running amok. So what the hell is this guy doing with Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and the rest of them? To me, it's a bit appalling, and I think they got some answering to do. It's freaking nuts. Sky God's in the house, gifting out 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Oh, we got a troll in the house. Oh, thank God. It wouldn't be a friggin' night on the Speak the Truth podcast without somebody coming in here trying to scream at us and call us Nazis and telling us why we're all wrong and everything else. Nope. And if you guys are looking for that, this is the case. I'll put it up on the screen. You guys are welcome to go look at that. It's right up over there. You can read the whole thing. He's a giant pile of garbage. He's been defrauding the system since day one. And for the trolls in the house, if you're in the house and you're a troll, I just want you to know that if you're upset about Donald Trump, you should still be happy that this man isn't our president.
We just have to get up. As long as we keep the faith, summon hope, and get back up and remember who in the hell we are. We're the United States of America. That's who we are. We're the U.S.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are the United States of America. Don't forget it. By the way, he's speaking at the LGBTQ Victory Institute, also pointing that out, making sure to remind all of the gays and lesbians, transsexuals and bisexuals that this is the United States of America. Yeah, thank you very much for those pleasant words, Joe Biden. Well, Epic City over inside Texas is getting sued by the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. He had sued them and several other leaders for engaging in an illegal development scheme that violated Texas security laws. He says the leaders behind Epic City have engaged in a radical plot to destroy hundreds of acres of beautiful Texas land in line their own pockets. I will relentlessly bring the full force of the law against anybody that thinks that they can ignore the rules and hurt Texans. The unlawful land project known as Epic City will be stopped, and these responsible will be barred from ever creating another fraudulent operation like this again. You guys remember Epic City, right? The all-Muslim community that allegedly wanted to enact Sharia law. Well, it looks like they were committing types of fraud and stuff, and that the people that were putting it together were lining their own pockets with all of the money. But the real question is, just like everybody else we've seen in these schemes, are they keeping that money, or are they defrauding their own people and sending it off to different organizations? Maybe ones that might not be friendly to the United States of America. Some might call them terrorist organizations. I got a feeling when they're done digging into this, that heads are going to roll. Ken Paxton is not playing games. I told you guys a long time ago that Texas is going after these guys, and they're going to crush them. They're going to crush their souls. 100%, they're going to get them. Who was that commented earlier? I'm trying to remember whoever it was that ended up commenting earlier. Anyways, so we're going to start with them going after the 14th Amendment, right? Because Trump signed the executive order. Supreme Court is now going to hear it. Just to give you guys the background on that amendment. Well, you know what? I'll let the news do for it, and then I'll talk through it, actually, what it means here afterwards.
We have breaking news out of the Supreme Court. Let's go to our CNN chief Supreme Court analyst, Joan Biskupic, who is in the newsroom. What's happening, Joan?
Supreme Court just this minute, Brianna, announced it's going to take up challenge to President Trump's order lifting birthright citizenship. You might remember on January 20th, his first day in office, he took his Sharpie pen and he said, this is a big one. And what he did was he tried to eliminate the automatic birthright citizenship that all Americans have had for more than a century. And what that does, it goes to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. That means that anyone who's born here, Brianna, automatically becomes a U.S. citizen. And what Donald Trump's executive order tried to do was say anyone who was born of someone who was not here lawfully or who was here on some sort of temporary status, that person's baby would not automatically be a citizen. It's a very, it's probably of all the Trump actions that have been taken to date, Brianna.
Okay, so everybody remind me again what year the Civil War ended up coming to an end. The reason the 14th Amendment got passed is because immediately following the Civil War, we had a lot of racist people in the United States. And there was a lot of states that tried to take away the rights of slaves. There was a lot of states that tried to take away gun rights of slaves. And when that type of stuff didn't work, they ended up enacting different laws that were going after firearms. Finally, in the late 1890s, a case was brought before the Supreme Court over the very exact thing that Donald Trump signed an executive order for, but a little bit different. And in that case is where we essentially ended up getting the birthright citizenship and anchor babies. Now, put in context, because we have the letter of the law and then we have the spirit of the law. And what the Supreme Court's going to be looking over is the spirit of the law, i.e., was the spirit of the 14th Amendment to go and allow anybody to enter our country illegally and have anchor babies? Is this insane to have the Supreme Court look over it? No, the times have changed. Back then, it wasn't like we had millions of people overrunning our borders every single year, giving birth to kids, and then bitching about their families being separated. But now we have that happening. Now we have that taking place. And we have a record number of illegal immigrants in the United States, upwards of 60 to 70 million. It's absolutely insane. And those people are having babies inside of our country, inflating our population, and then hooking up and doing things like what's taking place over inside Minnesota. And then they become voting. And that is exactly what the issue is. We have people here in the United States that are not being raised with American values, that are being raised in values of foreign countries, that are turning into insurrectionists, in my opinion, and ripping this country apart. And that's what the Supreme Court's going to be looking into. Over 100 years later, they're now going to revisit that ruling from the late 1800s, and they're going to determine whether or not having an anchor baby is legal. That's it. Adam DLC says, thoughts on a second channel, war-based like how it used to be for some people that don't like that don't live in the U.S. or not interested on certain topics. Yeah, Adam, I actually have thought about doing that, and I'm still rolling around in my head, because ultimately what that would end up meaning is that I would have to do one show at a particular hour and another show at a different hour, because there's only so much time in a day and information gathering that I can do. So I'm not opposed to it. It's just something that I would have to look into, figure out how to frame, figure out how to fit everything in. And obviously there is like time, money, all of that crap that ends up going into doing that. But yes, I have thought about it. AP Payne back in the house tonight, giving out 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Brother, I remember screaming your name out loud for years now. Michael Nickerson says, one of the Civil War amendments to make freed slaves lawful citizens. Right. Well, it was following the Civil War. Right? It was following the Civil War. After the Civil War ended up coming to an end, that's when they ended up passing that, and in my opinion, for good reason. Right? But I feel like it has been abused. I feel like it got turned a blind eye to, and I feel like people have taken advantage of the system. And so again, now, in my opinion, Supreme Court's got to go back and they got to look and they got to say yes or no. Is this a thing? Why? Who is it that commented earlier something about like people telling people to rise up against the president and all that other crap, like calling it treason, insurrection? I call it insurrection. You can call it treason. But here's the thing. Chicago mayor told the reporters that they don't have illegal aliens in their city and actually compared it, which is a great follow-up to what we just talked about, actually compared it to the slave days.
Don't have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's
the legal term. I'm not going with the political.
The legal term for my people were slaves. You want me to use that term too? Let's just get the language right. We're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. The last thing that I'm going to do is accept the type of racist, nasty language to describe human beings.
Racist, nasty human language to describe human beings. He thinks that everybody in this country, that nobody's illegal. He's going with the undocumented crap. And this, again, is probably why the Supreme Court absolutely needs to look over that. Because as you sit around, not to mention all of the crime and crap, dude should be worried about people being burned on his subways and frickin' all of the murders taking place across the city. Not worried about what the hell did we used to call it? Like with all that crap, not virtue signaling, it came before that, political correctness. I remember when political correctness first came out, and it seems to me like, the mayor is running on political correctness. And it makes sense because a lot of his constituents are illegal or the children of. Therefore, you have to play that game. And that is exactly how this country, this great flag that's over here behind me, that myself and several of you fought our butts off for forever. That is exactly how it ends up falling down. That's exactly how it ends up getting taken down. So I think the Supreme Court does need to take a look at it. I'm not a racist, but I understand the spirit of the law. And I understand for an absolute fact, that when that amendment got passed, they did not say that, you know what, it's okay for a bunch of illegals to come into this country and just give birth at a massive rate and try to breed us out of our politics and ruin our country, because that's very much something that could happen. Imagine the day that China actually wises up and starts sending over a bunch of Chinese people. Why do you think we have a rise of communism and socialism in this country? Why do we think that Mamdani ended up getting elected? Why do you think that Minneapolis is in like the dire straits that it is? By the way, Ohio's got the second largest population of Somalis here in the United States of America. It said that over in Minneapolis, not that they would know because there's a ton of illegal ones in there. There's over 100,000 of them. That's insane to me. Absolutely freaking insane. Meanwhile, Mayor Jacob Frey of Indianapolis decided, it took me a second when I saw this video. Notice that he had his shoes off. Other people had their shoes off. Of course, we have a woman priest standing over the back. Did the Catholic Church approve that? I'm not sure. The Bible's pretty clear about it. Another issue that I have. All standing inside of a mosque, I would think. And here's what he's got to say.
It really does feel like now could be the moment where the tide does in fact change. Because if you look around this room, yes, you are seeing the representation of all of us coming together and rallying around a common cause. Yes. But what you also see is a visual representation of love, of resilience, and of strength. Yes. What you see is a visual representation of we have your back, and when you come for one of us, you come for all of us.
Now, Chicago mayor, when he ended up coming out with his statement and he said that I don't think there's anybody illegal and he's got a problem with the terminology, they're undocumented, fine. At least he recognizes that that's the case. What this pile of garbage just stated is that when you come for one of us, you come for all of us. And he is specifically, this bro is specifically stating that if ICE goes after the illegals, that they're going after everybody. Alleyway June, what's up? Good to see you. She says, can you begin to add a Google Doc link to the evidence you've spoken on? I try to have some hard convos with people, but I have to go through hours of film. Yeah, I think there's a way I can do that. I really do. I think there is a good way I can go through grabbing the evidence, putting it on a document, and sharing it every single day. Only problem is I got to make sure that, because once it's available to the public, people, I don't need them to be able to adjust it. I need to be able to let them view. I'm pretty sure that's doable. Yeah, Ali, that doesn't sound like something that would take too much work for me able to get done. Yeah. So, and the Somalis inside Minnesota, by the way, have a special message for all of you great Americans.
We called this press conference because over the last few days we have seen a sharp rise in threats, harassments, and openly hostile rhetoric directed specifically at the Somali American Minnesotan community here in the great state of Minnesota. Words like garbage being used by the President of the United States to describe immigrants, specifically Somali immigrants, are not political drama. This language has consequences, travels into our classrooms.
I remind you, it's the Somalis that scammed Minnesota out of billions of dollars. Just throwing that out there. Throwing it out there. More money than the Minnesota prison system costs every single year. More money got scammed out of Minnesota than they even use for their dash gun prison system. Khan says, I also second the doc. Thank you for what you do. Yeah, I'll get that doc up. That way you guys have the different evidence and I'll be able to back it up. You guys might have to mind my descriptions and stuff that I end up putting on there. But yes, I can do that because I actually run a Google Doc. And it, like, for myself is where I end up throwing all of the links so I can transfer it between computers and stuff. So it's very easy for me to do that. I just need to make sure I can figure out how to grab it, where to share it, and all that other stuff. So don't worry about it. I'll make sure it happens. All right, let's keep going.
Our mosques, our workplaces, and our neighborhoods. It creates fear, it emboldens extremists, and it puts real people in danger.
Somali American community being targeted in this manner is dangerous. We have already received from different people threats online. We also know that there are some form of agent provocateurs are planning to come here. So this is a moment for Minnesotans to step up, not to be silent, to speak up, to share your frustration, to share your support for the Somali American community.
So to be clear, the guy that's standing, the mayor, saying if you come for one of us, you come for all of us. That includes the rapists. That includes the pedophiles. That includes the people that are scamming the government. That includes the illegal aliens that tried lying to the United States of America to get their sister citizenship by claiming that she was his wife and all of her children. You want to stand with them. Oh, man. What pin is that on his collar? Does that say CAIR? C-A-I-R? CAIR? Yeah, it does.
To talk about the best things about our state and their relationship to the Somali American community, but also our other immigrant communities that are parcel of our state. We are not backing down. We're not afraid. And most importantly, for most Somalis, we're citizens. We're not going anywhere. This is our home. This is our country.
Most importantly, for most Somalis, we're citizens. Great. You're not getting deported if you're an actual citizen. So what are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? Why would you have this problem? Would it happen to be because of the CAIR pin on your collar and that the Muslim Brotherhood is getting looked at as a foreign terror organization? And it's a possibility, allegedly, that your organization might possibly lose a little bit of a protective status and a lot of funding. Didn't the state of Texas just declare CAIR a foreign terror organization? Why, yes. Yes, it did. Last I checked, the state of Texas most certainly did declare that. Now, didn't they? That is freaking shocking. It should be no surprise to you guys. Now, again, they are good, upstanding citizens. Good, upstanding citizens. They would never try to commit fraud. They would never try to do anything wrong. And they most certainly wouldn't go around trying to scam different banks and businesses into, I don't know, cashing a fraudulent check.
Hi, I got that check from my employer.
Mm-hmm. You have an ID on you?
Yes, that's the ID.
This is your ID?
Yes.
Okay. Well, which car, so we can go take a look?
The Civic.
Okay. What color?
White.
White. Okay. So you just came to cash a check from your employer?
Yeah.
Who's your employer?
It's a rent check.
A rent check?
Yes. It's for my rent.
Yeah. Who's your employer, though?
It's a rent check.
No, I get that. But you said it's from your employer, right?
Yeah.
So who's your employer?
I don't understand the problem.
Well, it sounds like they think you might be trying to pass a bad check.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so I'm asking who's your employer? Like, who gave you the check? It's for your rent.
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand my question?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what's going on.
So I just told you, they called us because they think you're trying to pass a bad check.
Okay.
So that's what's going on. So I'm just trying to figure out if, you're saying it's just for rent and everything like that. I'm just asking who's your employer.
It's for rent.
But I know. You didn't hear you're not getting my question? Like someone issued it to you, right? Your employer.
Yes.
So who's your employer? Like, what do you do for work?
I'm a receptionist.
Receptionist, okay.
Yes.
Where do you work?
In New York.
Okay.
There's no Civics out here in the parking lot if you want her to try again.
You drive a different car?
No.
Okay, so my partner just told me there's not a Civic in the parking lot.
Surprise!
I don't understand. You gotta make it.
I'm just going to let you guys know that this continues to ramble on for about the next 4 minutes, where this lady refuses to say the name of who her employer is. And then eventually, as we get through this, ends up turning out that they end up pulling the vehicle over. She keeps playing this game with him for no kidding, like 5 minutes. And then here's what you end up hearing at the very end.
What's going on?
So we can tell it's a counterfeit.
How do you do that?
So we look at images of recently cashed items, and it doesn't match anything. The signature's not matched, so that tells us it's counterfeit.
So the signature's not a match to the other checks that have been cashed by this account?
Pull one up and print it?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll do that.
So anyway, she came here and you...
I saw her working based off the description that was given.
So you had
the description. We were all kind of
already previously given information before she even came in about...
Yes.
Okay.
So she went to stores into the town as soon as she walked in.
Okay. And then she was trying to cash this?
Yes.
And then you pulled up this account's other previous issued checks and the signature doesn't match?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not the right style, too.
What do you mean by that?
Just tell, the security features in a different spot, that's another.
Surprise! It's a fraudulent check. The lady was lying. Yay. Big surprise there. But hey, they're all good people. And if you go for one of them, you're going after all of them. I want you to remember that. All right. Donna Owen ended up becoming a true supporter. Welcome to the club, my lady. Fox McCloud says it creates fear at their workplace with a question mark. What workplace? Half of them are unemployed. No way, man. No, listen, clearly you need to watch this video because last I checked, this lady is cashing a check from her employer. How dare you even suggest that? She's clearly here passing a check from her employer. Well, let's go ahead and see what the poll says about whether or not this lady they think is lying. Let's see here. 99% of you say she's lying. Apparently, one or two of you, probably the trolls in the chat, think she's not lying. Yeah. No. There's actually businesses that are closing down now all around Minneapolis. I ended up going over there. I was going to share that information with you guys, but it's not exactly shocking that the businesses are closing down in Minneapolis. A lot of the people are disappearing off the streets. They're just gone, right? And people are sharing, just like we saw, what was it, over in, what the hell? Oh, Charlotte. Just like we saw over in Charlotte when people would put up like the traffic map and they're like, what do you know? There's no traffic. Same exact crap. Who misclicked? Yeah, somebody said 1% are bots. I tend to agree with you. And now I want you guys to hear, because again, I think that it is a big problem. This illegal immigration is a big issue, and it boils down, like I said, into the voter base. And then you get people like Ilhan Omar, you get people like Tim Walz, you get all of this crap that's going on over in the United States. But how bad is that problem exactly? Well, I want you guys to listen to the Deputy Secretary General, Assistant Attorney. God, why am I always messing up her name, man, or her title? Why does it make it so hard? Assistant to the Attorney General, Dylan. Wow, always mess. Assistant to the Attorney General. Good job, Matt. Assistant to the Attorney General. This is how bad it is.
Hi, I'm Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, and I'm here to share an important update about one of my many important duties here at the DOJ, which is enforcing our federal election laws. Here's some facts and figures for you. In the last 8 months, the DOJ has reached out to all 50 states, asking them to share their voter rolls with us so that we can help them comply with the Help America Vote Act, which requires states to maintain clean voter rolls. 4 states complied voluntarily. We sued North Carolina early on, and they are checking the voter records of 100,000 voters who were improperly enrolled on their voter rolls, and they're going to fix their problem voluntarily.
So North Carolina, the people that were whining and complaining, saying that they weren't going to do anything about it, when they got served with a lawsuit, all of a sudden they ended up turning everything over. Okay, well, that's good to know. And they ended up finding 100,000 voters that were improperly enrolled in the state of North Carolina. 100,000 voters.
We have an agreement in place almost with another dozen states, and I expect very soon we'll be looking at their voter data and comparing it with our records and helping them clean up those voter rolls. Now we have 15 lawsuits pending against 14 states. That's right, California got sued twice, and we are in litigation with them. They're refusing to provide their records, even though many of these states voluntarily provide their voter rolls to nonprofit groups like ERIC and even other groups. And so we are going to make sure that we get to the bottom of those. And then we're going to get to the rest of the states. So we're engaged with nearly 30 states. Here's what we found so far. We've checked 47.5 million voter records. We've found 260,000 plus dead people enrolled in the state's voter rolls, which is pretty concerning. They're going to be removed with the help of the DOJ. And finally, that there are several thousand non-citizens who are enrolled to vote in federal elections. This is very concerning. And the DOJ is partnering with local law enforcement where appropriate to prosecute people who have unlawfully voted in our elections.
Thank God. Now, you heard her. 47 million with well over a 250,000 that they ended up discovering that are dead, et cetera, et cetera. It's absolutely nuts. 250,000 people dead registered to vote. Who is it that's registering these people? Voter fraud is absolutely very, very real inside of this country. And she's just getting spun up. She's just getting started. Last I checked, there's something like 340 million people in the United States of America. Do you realize how many illegal immigrants? There's a reason California doesn't want to turn that crap over. There was a reason North Carolina didn't want to turn that over. That's insane to me. Old Man Y says traffic is back in Charlotte, just not at 100, LOL. But construction sites look like they're still a little bit bare. Abby says, I worked in downtown Minneapolis for a decade. It is a ghost town now. All of the best restaurants downtown and in uptown closed due to crime. It's sad. Yeah, those Somali gangs are no freaking joke. I don't even remember how many clips I played the other night, but it was like 15, 20 minutes straight of just random clips that I pulled of Somali gangs. I can go grab them and pull them back up. Like, it's a lot. They do a lot of damage inside that city. And so for Tim Walz and for all of the freaking people that are like standing around trying to say that Somali gangs aren't real, that they don't have gang violence, that's an actual thing that they ended up coming out stating, that Somali gangs aren't a thing. They're nuts. They're flat out lying to the people. And instead of listening to people like y'all down in the chat, like Abby, who's saying, no, this is a problem. The violence has shut everything down. Businesses are closing down. It's like Portland. Like Portland, you got nothing but homeless people walking around like peeing and crapping all over the freaking street, passing out, dying from drugs, laying there for hours. Like the only difference is instead of like the massive drug epidemic, which I'm sure Minnesota's got plenty, but like aside from that, it's the gang violence. And it's way different than over inside Chicago. It's just completely and totally different. For people to be pretending like this isn't an issue, like it doesn't need to get taken care of, I completely and totally disagree with you guys. Now, y'all remember this pile of garbage? I brought him up, like last week? And then I showed you the Democrats rolled out a video with him, right? Now, Home of the Brave rolled this video out with him today. How much freaking money is going into promoting this guy? Remember how like broke and crappy he looked like on the news and everything else? Now he's got like nice clean clothes on and everything else. And they put together this very well produced video.
My name is George Paredes. I was born and raised in Ventura, California. On July 10th, I was on my way to work, and when I arrived on the street that day, there was protesters.
They actually got B-roll. Like, they went and spent time with this nut job and got B-roll footage of him. Now, let's take a look as he pulls up to the scene, as he brings this up. And he says, as I pulled up to work outside, there's vehicles staggered all over the road. There's clearly federal agents standing in the middle of the road, and it's a complete and total blockade. That road is shut the hell off. It's shut off.
That day, there was protesters. I encounter a line of ICE agents lined up across the road.
I don't know if you saw this or not. He's literally hanging out the window, yelling at the ICE agents. You see that? Clearly, the road's closed. And that's in law. The road is closed. Clearly, the road's closed. And he sticks his head out the window and he starts yelling at them.
I put my car in park, and I'm a good distance away. I get out and I stand beside my car and I yell to them.
He gets out and he stands behind his car and yells at him. Now, what do you think he's actually yelling here after he stuck his head out the window and yelled at him? Then he puts his car in park. He knows there's protesters, and he decides it's a good idea to get out and then shout at the cops that clearly blocked the road off.
Officers, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm just trying to get to work. I'm not here to protest. They just immediately got hostile, telling me to pull over to the side, telling me to get back into my car.
Oh, so they told him to pull over to the side of the road and to get back in his car. Clearly, he didn't do that. That's what we call disobeying lawful orders.
As I'm getting into my car, the agents surround my car, pulling on the door handles, banging on the windows, telling me to get out.
Right. Because he stood there yelling at the cops until they started to move. After they told him a lawful order to pull his vehicle over to the side of the road and get out of the dang road. And he decided to wait outside of his vehicle until they started to walk towards it. Apparently, from the video. I really wish there was a time lapse there to see how long that nut job was standing outside of his car. Of course they're going to knock on your window, dude. You can't stay there. They're clearing the street.
Following that, they throw tear gas behind my car. I'm just there coughing, my eyes watery, can't breathe. They reapproach my car, telling me to do different things, contradicting each other. I'm just trying to plead with them that I'm leaving.
I'm trying to leave.
Yeah, now you're trying to leave, but you weren't trying to leave earlier. You certainly weren't trying to leave when you pulled up, stuck your head out the window and yelled at them. You certainly weren't trying to leave when you got out your vehicle and yelled at them. And it wasn't until they started moving towards you that you decided it was time to leave. And now we're going to put some dramatic music over it, and you're going to say triggering lines like, I got out and told him I was a citizen and I just wanted to get to work.
The driver's side window just shatters. An agent sticks his arm through and pepper sprays me in the face. They drag me out of the car. They throw me on the ground. An agent kneels on my neck and another agent kneels on my back.
That cuffing position that they showed is an authorized cuffing position. Just throwing that out there as he screams that they knelt on his neck in his back.
And while that's happening, I'm telling them I can't breathe. They zip tied my hands behind my back. They asked me for my ID once. I let them know it's in my car. Had they just looked at my ID, they would have seen that I'm a U.S. citizen, that I'm a veteran. I managed to make a call from my watch, and I call my wife and just let her know that I was detained by ICE. It was going to be okay. I didn't do anything wrong.
I'm pretty sure in some of his earlier videos, I'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure in his earlier videos, he was saying that he wasn't able to get a hold of anybody and his family was all worried about him.
Wrong, and that was the last anyone heard from me. They eventually put me in an unmarked car and they drive me to a Navy base in Port Hueneme. They take my fingerprints, they take my picture, and they swab my cheek. They put real handcuffs on my wrists and my ankles. They drove me to the downtown Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA. They strip search us. They take our picture, our fingerprints. I asked for a lawyer, asked when I would be able to make a phone call. They never gave me an answer. That entire first night, my skin burning, my hands burning, my face burning. It's the
Oh, you poor baby. Well, maybe if you would have obeyed their lawful orders to move when you first pulled up and exercised common sense that the cops had a roadblock in place and didn't drive in the middle of a freaking protest/riot, you wouldn't have put yourself in there. You wouldn't have put yourself in that situation. If you would have listened to what they told you, none of that would have happened. Idiot.
Worst pain possible. Hardly even slept. I talked to a psychiatric nurse, and based off the questions I had answered, she felt like it was best to put me on suicide watch. This yellow concrete room, I'm in there in those conditions from Friday morning until Sunday afternoon. An officer comes up to the cell and says, I'm off suicide watch and that I will be released. And that was it. He just walks away. No explanation, no apology. I asked. I was locked up in here for no reason. I missed my daughter's birthday for no reason. And
yeah, you did. Because you chose to be an idiot. You chose to drive up to the frickin' line and you chose to yell at the cops, sticking your head out the window. You chose to get out of the vehicle and engage the police officers in verbal rhetoric. They told you to move. You just admitted to that, and that you chose not to move. And then when we finally get the chunk of the video where you get back in your car and we don't know how long it is because the video's cut, of course, they're going to arrest you because you didn't listen to them when they first told you. They don't have to give you a second chance. They don't have to give you a third chance. You refuse to move. Period. Your war veteran status, your U.S. citizen status, none of that crap freaking matters. Oh, my goodness. And it's good to know you were on suicide watch because, well, maybe that's the reason they ended up holding you in there for so long. Commander Sargent says most people see a roadblock and turn around. Correct. When you apply the reasonable person standard to his situation, most people wouldn't drive their car into the middle of it. Most people, when they see a wall of cops standing in the middle of the road, wouldn't drive their vehicle straight into it. The other vehicles seem to have figured out to herringbone off to the side, but they also look like the ones that were protesting. So freaking tired of these people, man. So freaking tired of them. So dang tired of them. Don't even know where to begin. All right. Here's Mamdani, if you guys want to hear about it. I'm actually quickly running out of time. Here is Mamdani saying that he's not going to be putting up or taking down any homeless camps over inside of New York. For those of you guys that are curious about that, he just doesn't believe in tearing down homeless camps. Now, this is something that I absolutely support. This is the state of Florida, and I honestly wish that this would be made a federal freaking law. This should be made a federal law, in my opinion, personally.
There are auto insurance companies out there that are actually marketing to illegal immigrants. I have seen the websites. I have seen the marketing. They're specifically marketing to illegal immigrants and offering to give them auto insurance to cover them while they are on the road. Here's my problem with that. My problem is you are incentivizing, not only are you giving them free health care, free education, in-state tuition in some jobs, but now you're allowing them to get driver's licenses and auto insurance. Now, here's my problem. If you're here in the state of Florida and you wind up getting into a car wreck and the person who's driving is not here in the country legally, I think, and what the legislation is proposing, is that the person who was here illegally, who shouldn't have been there in the first place, who should never gotten in an accident, should be at fault. And the insurance company then should pay for the other person. That's just right.
That makes perfect sense. That makes complete and total sense. If you're here in this country illegally, you shouldn't be driving on the roads of America. And if an insurance company is dumb enough to insure you, then you absolutely should be the one flipping the bill. That insurance company that insured you should be the one flipping the bill. And personally, I also think the state that issued that illegal a driver's license should also be sued. Eugene Nicholas with 5, he says, this may be off topic, but what are your thoughts on the Jan 6 pipe bomber being MAGA? This is what the media is trying to push. Oh, dude, you need to go look at this morning's episode because I went completely and totally over the Jan 6 pipe bomber. But to give you a quick update on him, he's not even remotely close. Turns out, pretty sure he is a gay man. He was an online gamer. Here, let me get this up. This is his adult friend finder account, the Jan 6 pipe bomber. This is his adult friend finder account. And you can see his name is I_am_hot_for_cock. I am hot for cock. That was his adult friend finder account. On top of that, they're also saying that he was motivated by the fraudulent elections that were taking place and all of the claims of that. And that's why he bought everything. Remind me, what day is election day? November 4th? So here we have on November 24th and December 12th, the only 2 days prior to the bombing. It's all the way down here at the bottom. These are all of the bomb materials that he purchased, by the way. And he only purchased some 14 gauge wire and some steel wool. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think 6 separate occasions before that, ranging all the way back to 2019, where he ended up purchasing it. His family ran an immigration, what do you call them? They are a bail bonds company that specializes in immigration. And so they were very pissed and actually sued the Trump administration. His family did. He's 30 years old, lived at home. What else do we have going on? Oh yeah, he had no friends, it looks like, because he just did online gaming. At one point he was actually looking, let me see if I put it on here. Yes, I did. He was actually looking in 2015 for pen pals at Interpals, actually using one of his email addresses. So he was looking for pen pals online. There's a million different reasons, in my opinion, on top of like the almost $300,000 lien that ended up getting put on like their company, to why this guy could be motivated. And quite frankly, the evidence, in my opinion, doesn't point to his family being very happy about it. The same attorney that got used by Trayvon Martin's family, his family hired in that lawsuit where they were suing like the Trump administration. So in my opinion, no, I don't think the guy's MAGA at all. There is unconfirmed sources that are stating that he felt the elections were fraudulent and that he backed up Trump. Unconfirmed sources familiar with the matter. And that has quickly grown throughout the day as it's passed from one ear to another, along with all of these different media sources. Personally, no, I don't think he is. I think he likely got like pushed towards that online. That's what I think. And if you know anything about like homosexuals within the African American community, they're not big fans of it. And so I got a feeling the reason this guy was searching for his internet pals and all of that crap online is because of things like that. Also, his brother and his sister were arrested for narcotics use. One of them got a distro charge. I'm just throwing that out there. All of these things are going on all of the time. His family is absolute crap. Go back and watch this morning's episode. I do a complete deep dive in it. It lasts like 45 minutes of me just digging into him and his family. It's absolutely intense. But no, in my opinion, no, I don't think this guy was MAGA by any means. I don't think people that have I am hot for cock on adult friend finder lock themselves inside their parents' basement looking for friends on internet pals and things like that, who sue the Trump administration, whose family members are arrested for narcotics use and distro charges are likely very MAGA. All right. So every single time I hear that there is anonymous sources, I just say, don't trust it. Especially when it gets pushed out by legacy media outlets, because in my opinion, they just lie through the dang teeth. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I do have an appointment I have to make tonight. So I have to, unfortunately, bid you adieu. Peace, love, happiness. Thank you, every single person that ended up coming in here, donating tonight, supporting the channel, doing everything. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing, doing all of that good stuff. Peace, love, happiness, and God bless. I am outies.
You guys see this video from a Somali immigrant. He's telling us what's what.
Meel kasta wax soo galayaan baa loogu daata dhalinyarada loo yaqaan meega ee loo soo gaabiyay Make America Great Again ee Tim Trump ahaa ay kala bahdilay dagaalku ha socdo saas ha lagu wado Minnesota anaga iskale
Well, there you have it. They've taken Minnesota, and they're going to take out the rest of America too. And you have got to admire the confidence, right? That is a lot of bravado, especially when you consider that none of that confidence or bravado helped them to take Somalia. And just a quick tip here, sport: if you don't have what it takes to take out a couple of strung out warlords, you do not want to dabble with rural America, because we got a lot of country boys and veterans that